Hello and welcome to the installation video for the Unitrends Backup Capacity Tool. This tool is available as a 10-day trial from unitrends.com, and once you register for the demo, you'll receive an email outlining the next steps. So this video will start at that email and we'll take it from there. So here's my webmail. I can see that I have just received an email from Free Tools at Unitrends.com. This email will walk me through, for my order number, how to download the appliance file, which I'll then be importing into my virtual environment. It will includes the link to the virtual appliance file itself, as well as temporary credentials I'll need to log in to access the download link. From there, once I have the file downloaded, I'll be importing it into my virtual environment, and right here on the email you've got all of the various credentials you'll need to start up the VM and access the configuration screens. And if you need additional documentation, that's available in the same portal. And some additional supplementary information is also included in the email if you have any questions. So I'll click on the link to go log in to the portal to access the download. And basically I'll just be using this temporary username and password to log in to the portal. Once I'm in the portal, I'll fill out a brief registration form, accept the license agreement, and then access the download link. So I'll just fill out my contact information here, address, email address. The email address I put in will be used as my new username for the support portal. And you can change that if you'd like by clicking on that box, but by default, whatever you put in for your email address, that's what you'll get as your username. I'll put in my password and hit update, and accept the license agreement, and then update that. And now I'm at the main screen of the support portal. So I have the link at the top there to download the appliance itself, as well as additional links that will allow me to modify my registration information, add users, access documentation, and so forth. So I'll click on the download link, and that download will start up. And that download's going there through my browser. I'll pause now, and we can come back when the download is completed. So the download has finished. Here we are in my vCenter client. So I'm just going to choose Deploy OVF Template from the File menu, browse to the unzipped OVF file that I've downloaded from the portal, and just walk through the steps of the deployment wizard. I'll choose the host I'd like to put it on, as well as the data store I'll be storing the virtual appliance on. I can either thin or thick provision capacity on this server, either one is fine. And then I'll click the power on after deployment button so it just starts right up. One thing you might want to make note of is if you need to be on a different VM network than the default, you might want to change that. So the deployment process takes about 4 or 5 minutes to run through. So we'll let that run and then pick up again when the deployment is complete. Okay, so the deployment has completed. There's my new VM there. So I'll open up the console and log in with the credentials that were included in the welcome email. As soon as I log in, I'll be presented with the installation wizard. This will allow me to set my network information for the virtual machine, install the Unitrends Backup Capacity Tool software, and add any credentials I would need to run through my discovery of my environment. So I'll just hit the Enter key to continue. And the first step will be setting my local time zone. This is prompt driven, so I'll just hit Enter to continue. And it will present me with a list of regions, so I'll just choose the Americas, which is number 2. And then from there, I'll have the list of countries in my region. You might need to scroll down to see the entire list. And I'll scroll down to the United States and pick that. It's right there, number 49. And then I'll choose my time zone. So for me it's Eastern time, so I'll enter that. The changes I've made are confirmed, and I'll just hit yes to continue. So from here, it's time to get this virtual appliance on the network. So we'll be adding the IP address, network mask, DNS servers, and so forth. So this server by default is set up for DHCP. You could let it run as that. It's recommended that you use a static IP. So I'll hit enter to continue and enter the IP address I've chosen for this virtual appliance. And then the subnet mask. And the gateway IP. For the DNS servers, you can add a comma-separated list of DNS servers here. I'll just put in 2, but additional servers are supported. And then the network domains. This is also a comma-separated list. In my case, I'll add 2, and then continue. Okay, I have the option of changing the host name. So for this box, I'll choose a host name of Unitrends. It can be anything you'd like. It's just for convenience. So there are my network settings that I've selected. I'll hit yes to confirm those. And now I'm ready to configure the time servers. The virtual appliance already comes pre-configured with some time servers. So I'll just keep those. I can hit enter to continue to set up additional time servers, B to go back, or S just to skip and keep the ones that are already configured. Finally, we're ready to install the current software code onto this virtual appliance. So I'll hit enter to continue. And it will now prompt for the username that was chosen during registration. Again, that's by default the email address that's entered during the registration process. And then it will validate the order, and then I'll continue by confirming that, and the current code base will download and install onto the virtual appliance. This just takes a couple of minutes to download and install, and then at that point we're ready to enter the various credentials we would need to access and gather information on our environment. So there it is, wrapping up the installation. And that's all set. So the last step back here at the VM itself is to enter the credentials that we'll be using to gather information on the storage assets, the servers, virtual center servers, fiber switches. So I can hit enter here to continue creating the credentials. So I'll do that, and you'll be presented with a list of all the different types of platforms supported by the tool. I know I have some Windows credentials I want to add. I've got some NetApp credentials here, and I've got some VMware credentials as well that I'd like to add. That's the extent of my environment here. So I'll choose option 1 to add the Windows credentials. And I have the option of either hitting enter at this point to create default credentials, or to specify credentials for a particular asset or domain. I've chosen a default set of credentials. So for my Windows credentials, I'll add the domain, then /, and then the username, and then the passwords. When this is done, it will offer to add additional credentials if necessary. For example, if you've got multiple domains and you want to add additional Windows credentials, in my case I'll answer no to that. And then I'll enter yes to update the credentials. So I also have some NetApp credentials, so I'll add them the same way, just by choosing the appropriate number, hitting enter to set some default credentials, and then entering the username and password. And hitting yes to update those credentials. And then finally, I'll add my VMware credentials to so I can have a look at my vCenter server. I'll add those in. Hit yes, and we're all set. Now, we can also list the credentials we've already added in by hitting L. And that shows me that I've created Windows, NetApp, and VMware credentials. So I'll quit out of this. And now we're ready to hop onto a browser to wrap up the configuration of the appliance. And by doing that, to do that, we'll just be pointing at the IP of the virtual machine. So here we are, logging into the backup capacity tool. The first step is to name my company, so I'll name it ABC Co. And now we have the configuration section. There's inline help here that would guide you through the process. It's all numbered. And over on the left here, you've got the environment you've just created. And underneath that, a region and a data center. Additional regions and data centers can be added, and the existing ones can be edited. So I'll change the name of this region to Asbury. And I'll change the name of my data center to Dev. There's a lot of fields on the data center form. All we really need to fill out here is the name. But you're more than welcome to fill out the additional information as well. It's a nice place to keep records of that kind of thing. So whatever I click on, the menu here will offer me different choices. At the enterprise level, I can do global configurations. For the region, I can add data centers, edit my region. And for the data center itself, I can add assets to that data center. So I'll add my NetApp filer by giving it a name, choosing the vendor. It's important that we choose the correct vendor here, and then entering the model. In my case, I'm running on a simulator, so I'll choose that, and then entering the IP address of the filer. And we'll scroll down to the bottom and hit create. And now I've got my filer created under the Dev Data Center. I'll repeat the process to add the vCenter server. In the case of vCenter servers, all we need is the name and the IP address. I'll create that. And then to kick off the first scan, let's click up at the top of the tree there. And I can see from my help that I'm ready to run the discovery for my first pass at collecting the data. So I'll choose Discovery Scheduler Configuration, click on the Run Now link there, and then click the Update button. So now this is going to go out, gather information about the filer, gather information about the vCenter server, and then make that data available to me in the GUI. So there it is, it's starting up. Should only take a minute or two for each of these assets, and I'll be ready to view the data. Okay, so that discovery is complete. It usually takes about 2 to 5 minutes for storage arrays and about 30 seconds to a minute for vCenter servers. So now it's offering to bring me into the main UI. So I'll click OK. And now we're in the live UI of the backup capacity tool. The file level detail shown there in summary at the bottom of the page. We'll be filling that in as we do the file scan. So I can see that I found some assets under the filer, some servers that are accessing storage off of it, as well as a vFiler. And under my VM, see that we've discovered my virtual data center, my ESX server, and some VMs underneath that. So now I have a list of servers in my environment that was generated automatically. What I'll want to do now is query them as well, so that we have the data. We'll need to access those and get the list of files on them. So the next step is to go and schedule a follow-up scan by going into the administration menu and schedulers and choosing the Discovery Scheduler configuration. This time I'm going to pick the box labeled Run Usage Discovery. That will enable the server level scanning, so it will go out and query the servers we've discovered automatically in preparation for the file scan. To schedule the file scan, that's also found under the administration menu under schedulers, and it's called the crawl scheduler configuration. So just as over in the Discovery Scheduler configuration, we can choose start time. In this case, we'll choose the day of the month. We'll choose the date, choose the time, and we're done doing that. It's a good idea for the first pass to check the 2 boxes at the bottom that allow it to continue if it runs into any errors, for example, credential errors. Once that scan is complete, we'll have the remainder of the reports populated, including the file level detail, and we'll cover that in subsequent videos. So again, thank you for your time watching the video. I hope this was helpful, and stay tuned for additional videos where we'll cover exactly how to get the best use out of the backup capacity tool and review all of the data available there.